We're back. In the next episode, here, talking about stuff. Use the awesome flipping screen ability of this camera to see if you can actually see me. Okay, good. You can sort of see me. That is something. All right. I heard something. Squeaky. Man, they could have it eventually. Yeah, they got the house eventually. We're gonna be out of here. No, that's not. That's my chain. Okay, whatever. Anyway, basically, I was talking about Up. I was talking about Incredibles. Actually, I was talking about Up. That led me to this alternate reality comic I was thinking about making about the Incredibles, where Bob thought that his family really did die, and it kept on looking like they died. So he basically kidnapped Mirage and took her to the mainland, and eventually they got to the point where they had a daughter, and she had super strength, but she was like really hot like Mirage, and they went back. They were able to go back to the island eventually, and they found out that the kids weren't, and my wife were not, and Helen were not dead, or something like that. And it was like all kinds of drama about that, and I might do that sometime. It'd be really cool, but I gotta figure out how to make it so it's not crazy like it sounds. But anyway, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about how these characters that are Pixar characters are so awesome and wonderful, and I really want to see them again. First of all, even now, though that Marvel and Disney are hanging out, which means Marvel and Pixar are hanging out, they can use actual Marvel characters. I really want to see those guys come back. I wouldn't mind seeing a nice crossover with Marvel characters and the Incredibles characters, because they were different enough. Okay, that would have been interesting. They could take it as another Marvel reality, comic book reality. You have like stretchy powers like Mr. Fantastic, like kind of. Wow, you're super strong like this character. Probably be like Hulk. Maybe Thor. Yeah, right in the middle. Right in the middle. Mr. Incredible will probably be like Hulk. Closer to Hulk than Thor. In strength wise, yes. Maybe the Thing. Or Power Man. Yeah. There are a few super strength characters, so come on, that could work. But anyway, that got me thinking about how it's been like 10 years or probably more since I've seen, since I first saw the Incredibles movie, and I'm still like, oh my goodness, these guys were so great. We had so much, great stuff going on with them. There were some tragic moments, but there were some awesome moments after that, and it was great and wonderful, and I really want to see more about these guys. And then I think, what about Up? Oh, yes, I remember that, that's the issue. Up, there was awesome characters, but then they were taken, there was awesome characters, but then some of them were taken away, some of them were maligned, not used right. And some of them, did stuff that made no sense, and one in particular did stuff that made no sense, and that caused huge problems for everything else to be believable in this movie. So it's like, what the heck, So I'm basically going to talk about that right now. Basically, let's see here. Okay, basically, Up to me is the greatest, most awesome 3 movies horribly smashed together that I've ever seen. Yes. You have a movie, enough material here for like at least 3 movies. Number 1 movie, and the most important one in my opinion, is the life of our old man when he was a kid, the old man and Ellie. Okay, as they meet, grow up, and get married, try to have babies but can't. Try to do stuff. Decide to it doesn't matter. They're going to do whatever they can do anyway to have do all that stuff. It's like there's that. There's all that. All right. There's all that great stuff. All that great stuff right there, then, she died, then there's the thing where she gets sick and then she dies. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's horrible, that could have been right at the end, or, part 2, But it was like first 5 minutes of the movie, so it's like, oh no, And again, maybe, one of the Pixar people, people from Pixar died at this time, so they wanted to, basically, take people through that, the life goes by so fast, and now it's like they're gone, and you gotta just go on without them. But then it's like there's stuff that was weird with that too, because there was stuff like, okay, now life is going on, I'm waiting, basically waiting till it's my turn to go, because the adventure's over. I had a great adventure with this awesome person. They're gone. Now it's waiting. I'm just gonna live and wait, go through the motions until it's my turn to go. So there you go. That's the way it is. That's what it's gonna be. That's probably what he was thinking. And so it was kind of cool to see that in some ways, but then it's like, you go see that his house is surrounded by skyscrapers. Okay, his little gingerbread house is surrounded by skyscrapers. Now here's the deal, the old man, yeah. And I'm like, here's the deal with this. Well, how is that possible? How is that possible that his house is surrounded by skyscrapers? Yeah, that's the issue with me. If it was like, hey, you know, there was like certain things. I just realized something. What if they put a park or a promenade, made the area around his house into a promenade? You know, they had like 4 skyscrapers where everybody just hangs out. You know, where everybody's doing their business stuff, and then they could actually enclose that space over his house in glass. You know, in like glass or something. You know, and they put like grow stuff all over there, around there, and like make it a promenade. So there's like food courts and other crap just all over the place in there. You know, and so now his little house, little gingerbread house from like the 1950s or earlier is basically, you know, a display in this huge giant corporate, you know, place, corporate, you know, prison, you know, corporate, you know, world, prison, whatever you want to call it. That would have been really good and actually make more sense than what we got. Okay, but basically, again, he could basically either escape or use the heavy machinery that could be there to lift his house and take it away or something. I don't know. Yeah, shoot. Why not get a helicopter? There are helicopters that can lift tanks. Okay, I'm pretty sure they can helicopters that can lift. If you like to say, okay, bend reality slightly. We have a helicopter that we know of a Russian helicopter that was big enough to lift a tank. Let's say there's a even bigger one that is big enough to lift a house. That would have been cool and would have made more sense. But the balloon thing, that basically was one of the most annoying things about it. Because we went for something that was real and true to life. To, you know, I can make a bunch of balloons come out of my chimney that have super crazy Kryptonian helium in them. You know, that red sun energy, you know, the yellow sun energy goes into that helium, you know, and makes it so that it can lift, you know, has super strength now, and yet, you know, they're tied to by strings of titanium onto my fireplace that is probably somehow, you know, part of the foundation. You know, the foundation is one solid piece, you know, like a slab of stone, you know, attached to my fireplace. Because you have to think about, I'm basically just, you know, myth-bustering it, going through it, thinking that's impossible. But no, but people died in this. A person died here. You know, death is real life stuff. What? You know, that's what the issue is. At least in Incredibles, it was like, okay, this is a superhero movie, so I know there's going to be superhero stuff. People died. They did die in it. You know, a lot of superheroes were killed because of their capes. But it wasn't the same. It wasn't definitely not as tragic, but it was pretty tragic. It was pretty bad because people did die in it. But still, and people were in danger of being killed. But they were saved because of their superpowers. That was fine because of the superpower movie. This seems like a movie about normal people, but then they do something that isn't normal, and then it's like, what the heck? Oh, so before the balloons, they have a few other things. Oh, I'm running out of time here. There were a few other things. I'm gonna do Mugen while I'm gonna work on my Fighter Factory while talking. A few other things. Basically, you got your the house itself. Not only is the house itself just standing there in the middle of a bunch of construction work, which makes no sense because, you know, I'm sorry, they probably would have either, you know, they could have, you know, it could have been an interesting idea if they had made a display out of it. Oh, without his permission, of course. And because he's like, I'm not leaving, I'm not going anywhere, you know. And he basically could be like, you know, why not, you know, again, then there's the issue of him, you're hitting that one guy with his cane. Okay, now, I kind of was okay with the issue with the thing was, it should not have been a nice guy. If it was, because it was a nice guy, you know, it was, you know, like he seemed crazy, or the old guy seemed crazy, because it was like, oh, you know, because basically, and also there was the issue of construction, the fact that it was construction work. Okay, think about it, these giant vehicles, okay, that are fully capable of decimating a house that size. You know, a little shack, little place with like, you know, say 3 rooms, a living room, a dining room, or 4 rooms, a living room, a dining room, a bedroom. Oh, there was upstairs. There was upstairs. Okay, yeah, okay. So that would be like 5 rooms: living room, dining room, kitchen, like a little kitchenette nook or whatever, bathroom, and then upstairs is like the attic area with his bed and things like that, and maybe another bathroom. I don't know, maybe another bathroom or something like that he put in, or they put in or whatever, and it's like it's a very small place. You have these giant, you've seen dump trucks with those 500-pound tires or those 5,000-pound tires on them. That was one of the things that hit that's the thing that hit the mailbox. Now that makes, first of all, right there, makes me think, why didn't this happen before? It took that long for that to happen. Think about this. Construction. That's the main issue with this. If it had been some jerk backing his car out of the driveway of another house, and they hit the mailbox, and then he's like, "Oh, I was like," and then he was like he was a mean jerk. And he's like, "Oh man, what? You look at your, get that out of my face. What is the mailbox doing here?" And then he guys like hits him, for that. He's like, "Get rid of this mailbox, man." Something like that. That would have been interesting. But the main issue with me is, it should have been like that. What should have happened was, it should have been like, as these guys were a pretty evil-looking company, except for that one construction worker guy who was really silly and fun, and might have made a good friend if the guy had like actually been like, okay, it had been not the mouthpiece of the evil company, a good friend to the old man. If he had not been like the mouthpiece of the evil company, they might have. If they might have been to watch football together, it'd been nice. But anyway, basically what happened was like, the evil company, head of the company, and he's like going, he's all evil. There's that time, that thing in the movie after the guy clonked the other guy with his cane because he was moving the mailbox around and the guy didn't want to move in it. You saw that guy put his hand on the fence post of the house, because they're basically like, it's mine now. Oh yeah, that's basically what he's doing. So it's like he was evil. So, and then the old man's like, oh crap, So then, but what should have happened was, and boy, could have worked way better, is basically you have his goons. The evil jerks gets his goons out. And says, go in there and get that guy out of there. Scare him out. Force him out of that house so I can build my awesome, the most magnificent, glorious, awesome, opulent Starbucks ever known to man. Get him out of there. Do something. It's like, all right, let's get him. So these two big old guys or whatever go in there, and he just tears them up. It's like, oh, he's crazy. Oh, it's like, yeah, I told you. I told you I ain't selling. Yeah, and he's like has his cane swinging around, and they're like, oh, he's crazy, man. Oh, dude, am I bleeding? Oh, crap. He's crazy, man. He's like, oh, it's like, oh no. It's like, and then by like the 5th time that happened or whatever, even way more. Like the 20th time that happened, he's like, you know what, I'm tired of this. Or like, yeah, let's say the 5th. Let's say the 5th, because they're running out of time. They were like waiting, either he's going to leave. We tried to give him money, it didn't work. We tried to wait till he either died or left on his own accord, didn't work. So let's get him out of there. So they started going in there, and he just keeps knocking him out. He just tearing him out, keeps kicking him out. So he's finally like, you know what? That's it. We're gonna call the police on him. I'm like, what? Why? Why? According to the law, it's okay for you to defend your house. It's like, no. We're gonna spin it. No, he attacked us. He attacked you. So he did, yes, but still, no. Listen. If he's declared a public nuisance, a public something, he'll be forcefully removed by the police or something. And then we can tear down that little silly little thing, that little house of his, build that Starbucks I want to build, something like that, Come on, a little bit more something in there. And then that's what happens. And that would be nice. And then there can be like a helicopter nearby designed to fly in something, do something. Fly stuff in, fly stuff out. That's really super heavy. And then he can hijack that thing, hook it up to his house, and use that to fly his house out of there. That would have been cool, and only slightly fantastical instead of super fantastical, like we had with the balloons. Why? I like the balloons. I like the idea of the balloons, of dreams, of freedom, of color. That was great, but dang, that was not the best thing ever. That was horrible. That was not cool. It was just like, okay, different movie now. Again, different movie now. We're in the Flying House movie. There was a show called The Flying House. This is very different. This is not saying they don't go back through biblical times because of science. They're just flying around because of a bunch of balloons. This is a fantastical, maybe might have been a Pixar short in another life. Because it probably should have been. But anyway. Anyway, so yeah, then he hangs out with Russell. Okay, and that was cool because then he reminded her, the little dude reminded her of him of Ellie. Okay, as a little kid, and so he's like, oh, and basically he's like, oh my goodness, and so they're hanging out, and they can have adventure. They could have had adventure. That could have been an awesome movie right there. Him and Russell hanging out with Kevin, having adventures, maybe even with evil psycho super old dude, messing around, causing problems, with the talking dogs. Maybe yes, but still, why do we have to have this other part tacked on? All the part on the movie that's talking about real life, and then we have stuff that isn't in real life, and then we go back to real life in a second because it's like, oh yes, after luring Kevin the giant bird out of the house that was floating because of balloons, while our psycho crazy, incredibly old dude is breaking in. All right, the dude, Kevin jumps out the window with Russell and Doug holding on to him, and the psycho, really old dude jumps out the window after him, gets caught, his foot caught in the balloons. At that point, I was like, oh, okay, he's gonna get his foot caught in the balloons, and he's going to float away, because that's what happened. These balloons are powerful enough to lift a house. So, crazy old dude, shouldn't be a problem, and he's like, he got caught in these balloons, and he falls to his death. I'm like, what? Okay, so death is real. We're back in real life again? What? Death is real? You can die? From that? I thought the balloons were, good at that. What? What does this mean? Oh, that was so bad. Then of course there was the darts. The dogs shooting from their planes were shooting darts at Russell. Again, I said it before in my up best and worst. If Russell had been hit by one of those darts, even if it was a dart, okay, in The Incredible, I will admit, people, there were grown-ups that shot at children in The Incredibles. Okay, Violet was being shot at, Dash was being shot at. It was pretty crazy, but. Even though they downgraded it from bullets to darts, if Russell had been hit by one of those darts, which are maybe either sleeping or poison, sleeping darts or poison darts or something, if they were even sleeping darts, he was hanging on a water hose 1,000 feet in the air. He would have fallen to his death. So it was like, what the heck is this? Oh my goodness. Even getting hit by one of those darts would have been pretty bad. Oh no, it was just so bad. I'm sorry. Maybe it was like Kibble. It was like Kibble. He's like, oh my gosh, stop that. I'm like, oh, what the heck is this? Leave me alone. That would have been interesting, but no. So then after that, it's like, okay, the villain is defeated. Wow. By a real life thing, death. And what would really happen to something if it was held on by balloons? It wouldn't float. And now we go and have our awesome fun, awesome, cool moment where he gives, blessed, the old guy gives Russell the little bottle cap badge, that safety pin badge that Ellie gave him when they were little kids. That was awesome. And what I would have rather had was there's a movie called Escape from Wildcat Canyon. In Escape from Wildcat Canyon, there were no evil psycho old dudes. Well, there was a guy who was having military flashbacks. An old guy who was having military flashbacks, but he was the mentor. Okay, he wasn't psycho. He wasn't, well, not really. He wasn't psycho. He wasn't he wasn't a menace. Not really. No, he wasn't. Maybe to himself, but still. But in that movie, there was no. There were dogs. Yes, there were wolves attacking, but that was because it was real life. You're in the woods during winter. There's wolves. It's wild. It's crazy. But it's not like, oh yeah, I control these guys with these colors that make it so you can understand their thoughts. You can hear their thoughts turned into speech. Yeah, I want them to take you and kill you, or take you to me so I can kill you. No. It was just, we have to survive this. There was a lion. There was a mountain lion. There was these wolves. There was the mountain itself, snow. The river eventually. But it was an adventure. If it had been an adventure like that, then that would have been made way more sense. And it would have been like, oh my goodness, you know, and it was kind of started off being like that because they were in this crazy jungle place. If they had just kept on going there and they had to deal with the natural, normal things that can happen in a jungle, and you know, and then like Russell saves, you know, our hero's life, our old hero guy's life by, you know, getting help or splinting him his you know, splitting his wound or his leg or whatever, you know, or being at least being a shoulder to for him to walk on, you know, you know. No, you know, no real house, no house at all. Just him and the kid, you know, something like that. Oh yes, that would have been really good if he had tried to get the house to float, to fly, and it was working. But then the helicopter ran out of power, and it crashed, you know, and you basically crashed, right? And because the helicopter is an awesome, crazy military helicopter, it was able to survive the crash, but the house wasn't. You know, and then he's just out there with Russell's. You know, him and Russell are in the helicopter. Okay, because he was. I want to take my house. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna do this. You know, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, my house. You know, what can I do? You know, and they're like in the middle of nowhere or something, or you know, trying to get to whatever Paradise Falls or whatever like that, and it's like, you know, or what? I don't know. That just been kind of cool. You know, if they had just basically been more of a lost castaway, lost trying to get back to civilization type story rather than a guy who doesn't want people messing around. It's 10:55. I told him I'm going to bed at 11. Messing around and saying, you know, I don't want you taking away my basically memories of my time with my girl, my woman, my wife. So I'm going to, you know, use a fantastical means to float away and, you know, come to terms with her passing, and hang out with this kid who who's helping me do stuff. Yeah, there were like a bunch of other ways they could have done that. What was be way better, and hopefully they will. Pixar and company will do that in the future. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna try to do some stuff like that eventually. It's gonna be so great. I don't know about like that. Probably gonna have superheroes in it, most likely. Something like that. That's basically what I do. So check me out on YouTube, DeviantArt, especially Air Force Neo on DeviantArt. Don't worry. Oh, we'll cover alls. And Air Force Neo and my You Have Yourself a Deal fan ending. That's there. Also on YouTube, Star Ocean, Final Fantasy 10, Final Fantasy Chronicles, Hero Force, Star Wars Steal Your Time, Star Wars Second Story, Blue Dragon, Nick Detective Bus, Urban Rain, Halo 3, Mugen stuff, lots of Mugen stuff. Mugen reviews. My Mugen reviews, Dora, Action Dora, all kinds of different things.